All right, is this working? I'm gonna go ahead and check real quick. Let's see. Let's go to my channel. Yep, it's working. All right, so hey, it is December 15th. It's mid-December, but I still haven't done a November reading wrap-up. I've just been putting it off for a really long time, just kind of figuring out if I really wanted to do one. I was thinking of doing one on my blog instead rather than a video, but I really liked doing the live stream last time and just, talking about what I read and giving you my opinions pretty much on the spot and not having to edit or anything. So I figured I would do the same again for this month, and I'll also go ahead and talk about like the two other books that I read so far this month. I don't think I'm going to be doing a December wrap-up. I haven't decided yet, mainly because tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon I fly back to Seattle to go back home for Christmas. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be working a lot while I'm back home, trying to get in some extra cash before the year is out. So I don't anticipate a lot of reading. I am going to bring a book with me on the plane to read, but I don't know if I'm going to end up doing that or not. So yeah, I have a lot of books to talk about. I actually read a lot in the month of November. I believe I read 1, 2, 3, 5. I thought I read 6, to be honest. I can't remember. I should probably check my Goodreads, but I have a lot to talk about. And then I also read 2 for so far this month. So, excuse me. Kombucha. It's good for you. All right, so so for the month of November, generally during this time of the year, I really like to read those, really cheesy Christmas romance novels. I personally think they're great. A couple of years ago, Debbie Macomber had just come out with Dashing Through the Snow, and it was on sale. I think it was actually right after Christmas when a lot of those new hardcovers go on sale for 50% off at Barnes & Noble. So I bought Dashing Through the Snow, and then I also bought Starry Night, and I read both of those, and I actually really, really liked them. So ever since then, I've kind of jumped on the Christmas romance bandwagon and have picked up a few more. So for this year, I bought 3 new Debbie Macomber Christmas books. I got her newest one, Merry and Bright. I also got Mr. Miracle because this one was made into a movie, and it was on Hallmark Now, HM Movies Now or whatever, so I wanted to watch that, and I figured I want to read it anyway. And then I also got Glad Tidings, which is actually a 2-in-1. This has 2 stories. I think it's, what's in here? There's Something About Christmas and also Here Comes Trouble. So I read all of it. I consumed all of them, and I consumed them quickly. I just really like Debbie Macomber's stories. They're really light, fun, really easy to get through. There's nothing too intense about them. My only problem with Debbie Macomber is sometimes in the way that she writes. Even though they're current contemporary stories, the way that they talk sometimes can be really old-fashioned, which isn't a bad thing. But sometimes in the context and in the way that it's being said, it can kind of just be kind of cringy. At least for me, I was just okay, they don't need to be talking like this. This is a little much. So that's my only problem as far as her writing. But overall, I always end up loving her books. Again, they're really easy. They're really quick, fun, and yeah, just great. They just really get me in the mood for the Christmas and holiday season. So to tell you a little bit about each book, Merry and Bright follows a girl named Mary and how she is a temp at a law firm, I believe. So she had a job for about a year, and her year is kind of coming up. It's pretty much ending, and how Mr. Bright is her boss at this company, and how he's kind of really cold-hearted, and he can't seem to please him, and so she hates this guy. Well, so comes her birthday, and her younger brother and mom decide to build her an online dating profile through a site, and they make her picture the picture of her dog. That way, they're like, we really want to make sure that whoever picks you and talks to you likes you because of you rather than like just your looks, you know? And so she starts talking to this guy who kind of does the same thing. He had a picture of his dog for his profile, and they start talking, they start connecting. Yeah. And it's easy to assume that obviously it's her boss who she despises, but she doesn't know this. So it's just kind of fun to see both sides and how they're both like kind of falling in love with each other, but they don't know who each other are, and they literally talk and like see each other every day. So it's like really fun and lighthearted, and I thought it was pretty cute. I think the ending was done really well. Compared to some of her other stories, sometimes they're just like super cheesy. I thought this one was pretty good. So I liked it a lot. So yeah, this is her new one. This one just came out this year, so it is hardcover, so you're going to be paying that hardcover price unless you can get it cheaper elsewhere. But yeah, I actually really liked this one. And then I also had Mr. Miracle. So Mr. Miracle follows a angel who gets sent down from heaven to become a guardian angel, and it's his like first assignment. So he has to, he's on a probationary period. So he becomes a teacher at a local college, and his mission, his job, is to help a student named Addie, kind of get her life back on track. And so it's his job to figure out what exactly is wrong, where she's kind of hindered in her life and what she needs, and help her reach that. I personally thought it was really cute. I didn't mind it. I thought it was really fun. And yeah, overall, I will say though, from what I remember in this one, the romance between the two characters, which isn't between the guardian angel and, his assignment, it's actually between the romance he kind of helps develop between her love interest, who is her neighbor. I thought it kind of turned around really quickly because like it starts out, it's one of those perfect scenarios where they dislike each other, they hate each other, but eventually it kind of turns into something more. And I felt like it turned into something more real quick, just like considering how much they kind of despise each other, or at least how much she despises him. So it's like, it was really quick. And it felt kind of awkward in parts because I'm like, is that really enough to, overcome the like childhood trauma she kind of carries on with like what happened between them? So yeah, but then I watched the movie and I really liked the movie. The guy who plays the guardian angel is the same guy who plays the bigger brother in Numbers. If you guys ever watch that TV show, it's really totally random because I totally watched that show, Numbers. I started watching it because I needed a new show to binge watch, so I started binge watching Numbers. And so when I saw him in this movie playing this type of character, because he's completely different in the movie than he is in the book, blew my mind. And I actually really like the movie a lot. I thought it was super cute, and I just love the fact that that actor is in there. So Hallmark movies now, they're so cheesy, but they're just so much fun. So totally read that, really liked it. And then, of course, I started with Glad Tidings. Now, there are 2 different stories in here. I honestly can't even really remember what's what. Okay, so there's Something About Christmas. It's about a girl named Emma Collins who is working at a newspaper in Seattle or Tacoma, somewhere. Pacific Northwest. Debbie Macomber is a Pacific Northwest writer, so all of her stories pretty much take place in the Pacific Northwest, so it makes a lot of sense. So sorry, just lost my thought. Emma Collins, she works at a newspaper magazine or whatever, and she's like, I want to be a real writer. And so she like goes into her boss's office and is pretty much ready to be like, I quit unless you give me something better to write. And he's like, I have an assignment for you. I need you to go to these women who are in a contest for like a fruitcake contest, who are like the top 3 or like are part of the top 10 in the country, but live in the Pacific Northwest. He's like, so I want you to go there. I want you to interview them, get some stories, and just, hype them up and put them in the article. So she's like, all right, because like, what else is she going to do? So she, wow, this is hard to remember because it's actually pretty much a while ago. So she plans on driving, but then they hire a private plane for her, a nice little 2-seater, like air coupe, small plane that you get. And the guy who is the pilot is like a total sleazeball, kind of an asshole who thinks he's like super suave and has such game, and she's like not fucking here for it. And so unfortunately she gets thrust into all these trips, all three, with him, and there's a lot of head-to-head, nice witty banter, it's a lot of fun, and of course they end up falling in love, and it's just kind of fun to go through that. And I actually like that one a lot. And then the other one, Here Comes Trouble. Oh, this one was really cute. Sorry, took me a second. So Here Comes Trouble is about a woman named Marianne and her husband Nolan, and it starts off with them being older, and their kids are like, tell us the story of when you met. And so it goes back into a flashback of how they met. So these two characters are rivals at rivaling newspapers or magazines, and how they both kind of get thrust together, trying to cover kind of the same story. And yeah, I mean, like, what else is there to say? They get thrust together, they hate each other at first, but they find out they have way more in common than they actually do, and love brews. I liked it. I will say, though, that Marianne, as a character, when she was younger, like, in the story, was kind of annoying at times, because she's, like, very much a daddy's girl. She's a rich kid who kind of got everything handed for her. She got her position because her dad pulled strings, and sometimes that's annoying, especially when she's like, no, trying to actually put her foot down and like do stuff for herself, which is commendable. But sometimes it's just like, girl, calm down. It's fine. Just calm down. But otherwise, again, Debbie Macomber, she really can't do much wrong in my eyes. And they were just nice, fun, lighthearted, really just warm and loving stories. And I enjoyed them. So my next book that I'm going to talk about. Excuse me. I have so many feelings about this freaking book, okay? So, as many of you know, one of my favorite books and stories of all freaking time, favorite romances, just favorite things ever, is Pride and Prejudice, okay? I love Pride and Prejudice. I love Elizabeth. I love Darcy. I love them together. I just love it all. I love it all. And if there's any like sort of Pride and Prejudice retelling, I'm all for it. I am down. I want it. I want it in my life. So I was at Barnes & Noble. I was going to pick up a different book, but then I saw this and I was like, you know what? I need it. So I picked up Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe by Melissa de la Cruz. Melissa de la Cruz, a very well-known YA author, has some more stuff like in adult fiction, but I first was introduced to her with her YA stuff. So I saw this and I was like, oh, Pride and Prejudice Christmas story. I needed it in my life. Now this is a hardcover. This is $18.99. And this is just another reason why it makes me really angry. And I kind of went on a rant, I think, on Twitter about it. But here, let me tell you. So this book is a gender-swapped contemporary retelling of Pride and Prejudice. So Darcy is a female, and Elizabeth is a male who's named Luke. But yes, so that's awesome. That is interesting to me. I love that idea. I think that's great and it's awesome. But here's kind of where it goes wrong, is that the story is told from Darcy's perspective. So it's told from her perspective. And she does not emulate Darcy to me. She does not, because she is... Okay, hold on. Let's go back to the basic before I go into this huge rant. And I don't want it to be spoilery for you. I mean, it's Pride and Prejudice. If you've read Pride and Prejudice, and you already know what's going to happen in the story anyway, so it's really not that spoilery. But it starts out with Darcy having to go back home for Christmas, and she has pretty much been gone. She hasn't gone back home in a very long time, like years, and how because her mom gets sick, and she's really close to her mom. She's not too close to her dad, and that's like a really big reason why she never went back home for so long, is because her and her dad got in a really big fight. Because, you know, he was like, I want you. He kind of like took on the role of Mrs. Bennet in the books. So he was the one who was really pushing for her to get married, marry this one guy in their town who she was kind of dating off and on, who was like a really good choice, and he has really good connections, and they're good friends with the family. And so he was really pushing her for that. And she was like, screw that, you know, I want to do stuff with my life. So she like moves to New York and she gets a job. She becomes like some crazy law firm partner, and she's making like tons and tons of money. But her mom gets sick, so she goes back home pretty much to be like, hey, Mom, like, sorry, I've been gone for so long, and, you know, just to kind of, like, reconnect, kind of. Doing so, she meets Luke Bennett and his brother and their family and everything, and kind of the story becomes what you would expect, you know? There is a lot of similarities to the story and the events as far as Pride and Prejudice, but that's pretty much it. Here's my biggest gripe about this book. The only similarities to Pride and Prejudice from this book is the fact that it's in the title. Some of their names are the same, and some of the events are kind of similar. That's it. Otherwise, this is why I am really angry at this book, is that there's literally nothing else connecting it to the story, the original. It does not represent the original. The characters are completely off and screwy. First off, Darcy is neurotic, annoying, outspoken, and forthright. We all know Darcy to be quiet. I mean, unless he's with his friends, like quiet, possibly coming off as ill-mannered, cold, rude, proud, you know. And even though he does give his opinion quickly, he's, you know, it's almost kind of like, in the essence of the story, is that it's because he just doesn't know how to sugarcoat it. He just doesn't know how to be nice or like say it in a way that is like socially acceptable, but it's not like ill meant for the most part, you know what I mean? But with this, I hate her. She does not represent that Darcy. Again, she's neurotic. She speaks out all the time. She is crazy. She's that crazy girlfriend. And I just don't understand why that was a choice. Like, if this was being told from Elizabeth's point of view, Luke's point of view, it might be different. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's why the story is as successful as it is as Pride and Prejudice, is because it's told from Elizabeth's perspective. There's just a lot. I just did not like it. I didn't like the way that it was going. I didn't like the events. Again, I thought she was really wishy-washy. She wasn't a character I cared for. I didn't root for her. I just kind of wanted her to shut the hell up and get out of the picture. Luke, who's supposed to be this effervescent character, you know, resembling Elizabeth. No, you don't know anything about him. You don't get really any character traits or character details from him. You just kind of like are supposed to assume like, oh, well, that's how he is because he's supposed to be representing Elizabeth. But then he doesn't actually do anything. He doesn't say anything, and he just doesn't do anything. So there's like literally no resemblances to any of these characters from the original story, from what they're supposed to be. And it's like, yeah, well, they're gender swapped, so of course they might act differently. But then again, it's like, well, then why are you even calling it Pride and Prejudice, really? It's like, in theory, it's, you know, based off of that storyline, but to actually like be like, oh no, it's Pride and Prejudice, and then have the characters have those names, but then not actually display their like characteristics, is ridiculous to me. It's just sort of ridiculous. So I did not like this book. I am super pissed that I spent the money on it. I don't know where my receipt went. Otherwise, I would return it. And it's kind of been a while, so I don't think I can still return it. I know from the last time I was working at Barnes & Noble, you have 30 days now instead of 14. But I've worked at Barnes & Noble, and I know what it's like when people bring in a book without a receipt. Like, it's bullshit, because it's like you have to prove that you even purchased it there. And then if you don't have a receipt and they can't find it in their systems, you get it for like the lowest price possible. And this is like a $19 book, so I might maybe get like $10. So I'm like, you know what? I'll hold it onto it. I honestly might give it away, donate it. I don't know. I'm just really angry at this because it just did not meet any of what I wanted it to be. So that's that. I'm done talking about it. Do not recommend. If you are a Pride and Prejudice fanatic, don't do it. Okay, moving on, guys. Moving on. This book, I'm actually really happy to pick this up. So I was like, I've never been into the cozy mystery genre. It's just a thing that I've never stepped into. I haven't found something that I really liked, but lately I've been wanting kind of like a witchy read, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like a fun, kind of lighthearted little witchy read that isn't so much into sci-fi, like urban fantasy, you know what I mean? Because that can get pretty dramatic overall. And generally, when you get into the stories, they're like long-winded stories, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I'm interested in doing that because they can get heavy. So I was like, I kind of want something lighthearted. And so cozy mysteries kind of fits that, you know what I mean? And there is a lot of like witchy little cozy mystery stories and series. Like even though they have tons of books in the series, they're all kind of quick, easy to get through, nothing too intense, and kind of fun, you know what I mean? So I was looking on Goodreads, and I don't know how I found this. I was on, somebody recommended it, I think. And so I picked up Brownies and Broomsticks by Bailey Cates. First off, can we just appreciate this cover? There's a cat. There's a broomstick. Pastries. I actually really like this book. So it follows a girl named Katie Lightfoot and how she pretty much gets not divorced. She separates from her fiance who kind of broke off the wedding, and so she's like, fuck this, I don't want to stay here anymore. I need to like pack up my shit and leave and like go somewhere else completely and just start new. So her aunt and uncle were opening up a bakery shop in Georgia and Savannah. And so how they pretty much offer her, they're like, well, why don't you come live with us, you know, like move over here and help us start our business, you know, like she likes to bake, they're opening a bakery, like, why not just do it? So she's like, you know what? Yes. So the story follows her and how she moves to Savannah and how she starts living with her aunt and uncle and starting up this bakery, and how, lo and behold, the day of their opening, this woman who was part of like this really big, you know, civil council kind of thing of the town, who like, they're not that important, but they come from old money and they have a lot of pull in like the community. This old bat gets like straight up killed in front of their bakery shop after they kind of had an argument with her because she's just an evil old woman. And so of course the police get involved and they're like, hey, like a lot of witnesses were saying you guys had to fight with her, and some people can't like count for your uncle's whereabouts during like the moment where she was dead. So pretty much her uncle becomes the prime suspect, and she's like, screw this, like no way. And so she kind of starts getting into the investigation, getting involved, and trying to figure out a way to, you know, disprove anything that they have on her uncle, you know, prove his innocence and stuff. And while doing so, she starts to find out that her aunt and her aunt's friends are all part of a coven, and they're all witches, and how she has this innate ability of witchcraft and power. So it was a lot of fun. Again, really easy to get through. The romance is kind of cute, and it's like start building, and there's like a ton of fun characters. It's just super, I don't know, it's not cheesy per se, but it's just fun. It's like what you would expect if you know, picked it up. Again, cozy mystery. So I guess that's kind of what it is. Lighthearted, really light, easy to read, fun, and I went ahead and I bought the second book because I definitely want to continue with it because I really like the characters and I really liked the way that the entire murder mystery kind of happened and how it was resolved. So yeah, I actually really liked this, and I'm happy that I picked this up as like my first book introducing me to cozy mysteries, because now I'm like way interested in continuing with this series and starting a few other ones. Plus, I just love the idea of like witches in bakeries. Like, you know what I mean? Like serving tea, herbal remedies and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. That's like my perfect trope. I love it. So yes, continued on with those. So those are all that I read in November. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue on with 2 books that I read for December so far. I'm not sure what else I'll be reading this month again, so I'm just going to go ahead and talk about these guys. So these are good, and I actually wrote 2 blog posts about them on my blog, Shelf Life Extension, which honestly I haven't touched in years. I think the last time I posted on that was 2015. I don't know, it was a while. But, I was like, I'm not really doing videos anymore. Maybe I should, like, reintroduce the blog and start, writing again. So I did that, and I actually really liked it. So if you want some more in-depth kind of reviews on these guys, go ahead and check out my blog posts. But otherwise, I'm just going to give a little shout-out to them right now. So the first book I read was Dark Run by Mike Brooks. So for NaNoWriMo, right? NaNoWriMo, I was trying to write kind of like a steampunky sci-fi space pirate book. And I realized that at the end of the day, I haven't read too much like that. And that's the main reason why I wanted to write something like that, is because I feel like there's not that much out there specific to kind of what I wanted to write. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and... Hello. Sorry, that's my text. Yeah, I wanted to kind of research more into the genre so I can gain more understanding of kind of like what other authors are writing, any like things that I'm not very, I'm going to turn this off. Anything that I'm not very good at that like I noticed from other writers that I definitely need to work on to like be comparable and like relevant with the genre. So my first one was Dark Run. Now, even though this isn't necessarily like what I'm writing, it does kind of have the dynamic of the characters that I'm talking about. So this one is about a group of smugglers, soldiers, con artists and whatnot traveling in space who are, pirates, space pirates. And how they are on a ship called the Keiko, and how they get a job given to them, which is a dark run, which pretty much means they have to deliver the shit to a place within a certain amount of time. They get money up front and after, but they have no idea what the hell it is that they're shipping. Smuggling, you know what I mean? They're like, you can't look at it, you can't touch it, but we'll give you a shit ton of money for it. And so he's like, oh, that's a lot of money, but that's like super risky. And it's also a guy who he doesn't want to work with anymore, who like he does not want to see, he does not want to be associated with whatsoever. But they find him and they're like, nah, you guys are going to do this job for us and we're going to give you a lot of money for it. So they're like, fine. So they do this job, and they are trying to smuggle in this contraband stuff, and they find out that it's a bomb, and it's meant to not only kill off this huge, like pretty much I think it was like the entire country of Amsterdam, but also they are not meant to survive it either. But they do, because they're smart, and they're like, screw this. Like, no way is this guy going to get away with it, and we need to, like, exact revenge, because what the fuck? Like, that can't happen. So then the entire rest of the story is about them trying to figure out and be kind of sneaky and trying to find this guy and, hit him back. Because, like, what the heck? You can't do that. So I really, really liked this one. It was a lot of fun, a lot of action. The characters are great. There's just, like, a huge band of characters, and they're all different. They're all diverse culturally and, characterly. Well, that's not even a word. Characteristically. But yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was really lots of banter, easy to get through. It's one of 3, I think. I think there's 3 books out now. I'm not sure if there's going to be more, but I definitely want to continue with it. Definitely do. I will say the one thing that's kind of annoying is that they introduced a subplot on one of the characters that's part of their group. The very beginning, right? The very beginning. So it's like, they're kind of shady. Like, there's something there that they're not telling you, but it's like a rule on their ship that you don't have to talk about your past. Which makes sense. Hey, you're all smugglers and con artists, and, it makes sense. But it's like, this one character, they kind of keep hinting at it. Like, there's something off about this person. There's something more there. And at the end of the day, it does kind of cause a problem for them. So it's like carried throughout the story, but you never find out anything about it. So I assume obviously it's going to be talked about in the next couple books, but I hate the fact that it was like dangling there the entire time, like from the beginning. and like literally nothing happened about it, you don't even really learn anything else. You know, it's just like, you could have just introduced that later down the line to intrigue me further into the reading like the series and continuing with it. So it's just kind of annoying that it was literally there the entire time. You're like, are you gonna touch on it? You gonna say something? She's kind of shady. Like what the heck? But otherwise, regardless of that, this was a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. So if you are into that whole like sci-fi, smugglers, con artists, cheapskates, running the world, doing their own thing, highly recommend. This was a lot of fun. And again, if you want to know a little bit more, something a little bit more eloquently said, you can check out that blog post. Okay, and then next, to kind of follow along with the same thing, researching more into the genre, The Guns Above by Robyn Bennis. I saw this on the shelves before I moved on Barnes & Noble. I think it came out earlier this year. But this one's really cool. This one definitely leans more to the steampunk side of things rather than like the sci-fi space things, whereas this is. So this is more, yeah, definitely steampunk. It's about a girl, woman. I don't know why I say girl anymore. I think I'm just so used to like YA. It's about a girl. It's about a lady, man. Her name is Josette, and how she is an airship captain. And it's in a society where women are not accepted as being like really anything other than women, you know, who need to stay in the kitchen and stay at home and, you know, whatever. So even though they are in the military and they are part of them, they don't get to rank up as quickly, or if at all, as the men do. And how, so here's this lady, Josette, and they're in a battle. They're in a warring territory. Both of their countries, I don't even know if it says, I can't remember. There are two countries side by side warring. Hey, it's a thing. And how she's in the middle of battle. Her captain on her ship like straight dies, and how she's like, fuck this. She takes control of the ship, and she kind of like saves the way the war is going, because like because of what she did, even though she did end up like crashing the ship, she crashed it in a way that like completely kind of obliterated the enemy. So it totally turned the way that the war was going. So in the end, they did win the battle. So a lot of people were like, it's thanks to her. Well, you know, hey, it's thanks to her. So because of that, they let her rank up. They give her her own ship and her own command. And, you know, hey, kind of starts off from there. So pretty much she gets this new ship, and it's like a brand new design, never before tested. So she's like doing these tests with her crew, and how there's just like this ship isn't performing as it should, even though it's brand new and it's supposed to be super great. It's still kind of shitty, and she's like, I expect more from this. And how pretty much, of course, she's a woman, so her crew are just kind of like, can she really do this? Like, does she really even know what she's doing? So she's trying to prove herself on top of all of that. And how at the end of the day, while they're doing their tests, they find out that there is this enemy encampment pretty much moving in to invade, and how pretty much nobody's talking about this because nobody believes that it's going to happen. You know, nobody thinks that this other country would ever attempt to do that because they've never won a battle in however many centuries. And how, you know, they're the ones who are actually out there. They see it and they're like, well, we need to tell people about this. But then, of course, if it's coming from her, a lot of people probably aren't going to believe her because, again, she's a woman and she's the first lady airship captain. Everybody's like, ah ha ha, yeah, whatevs. And how pretty much she just kind of goes to prove them wrong. Sorry, I have a snotty nose. I really liked this book a lot, and I'm super excited to continue on with it and grab the next one because I really, really, really liked the story. I really liked the writer, and the way that she writes this, she adds so much detail. And that's something that I am absolutely horrible at. I like realize this now after reading this, that I absolutely suck at world building and like giving detail, at least like necessary detail. Like even though sometimes it can be excessive, you're like, okay, they're in an airship, I get it, like it's cool. But like because she gives you all that details of like how it works, what it looks like, it like really immerses you into it, and you could like really visualize it. So I really, really, really liked that about this, and I'm just so excited. One thing though, one con, the main character herself, Gisette, she does some things that I don't think she would do. You know what I mean? Like, as a woman who is hardened by her position and her experiences in the military, having to prove herself constantly, having to like really like toughen herself up and have that thick skin, sometimes she does stuff that you're just like, why would you do that? Because at points she'll say stuff. She's very forthright, she's very bold in what she says, so she'll say things, but then she'll be like, oh, that's kind of mean, I probably shouldn't have said that like that. But instead of like where a lot of us would probably be like, oh, oops, fuck, and like, you know, chastise ourselves like internally, she attempts to apologize, and she like stutters and like, oh, like, I'm sorry, you know, kind of thing, where it's just like, I don't necessarily think she would. I think she would do exactly what most of us would do, would be like, oh, oops, but just kind of play it off, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like, she's the captain, and there's no point in apologizing because they're not going to accept it anyway. So why would you? So she does kind of stuff like that I think are like kind of out of character for someone like her. That kind of threw me off at times, so that it kind of brought me out of the story, because I was just like, you know, I don't think so. I know as fuck I wouldn't be apologizing. Like, yeah, even though I said something bad or mean or, you know, to my crew or something, I wouldn't try to apologize that way. Because at the end of the day, again, I'm the captain, I'm the one in charge, and I have to be the one who's in charge, like, overseeing everybody's safety and making sure that the missions go through successfully. So, but that's just like one thing. Okay, no, there's another thing. I have it on my blog post if you want to read it. We know she kind of has mommy issues. It is mentioned a couple times that, and like, that's what really drives her and why she joined the military in the first place and is doing what she's doing. But you never really find out why or what happened, even when she is face to face with her mother. Which for some people might not be a big deal. But for me, I'm just like, again, kind of like with Dark Run, where it's kind of dangled in front of you, and there's an opportunity for like you to learn more and really advance like the character and like her history and her background. Nothing happens. So you're just like, well, we know you know she has mommy issues, but you don't find out anything. Kind of annoying. But again, I assume that's going to be talked about in the next book and kind of continued on from there. But otherwise, I really, really, really like this one. So I highly recommend this if anybody's interested. It won't be coming out in paperback for a while, I think, which is kind of annoying. But either way, I'm glad I got it. So, but I will say I did get this on Book Outlet for cheap. So Book Outlet, a great place. Otherwise, that's about it. That's all that I read for November. That's all that I read so far for December. I also bought Arabella of Mars by David Levine. I think I'll probably be bringing that one with me on the plane tomorrow when I go. So possibly that'll be the next thing that I read. Otherwise, that's about it. That's all that I read. I pretty much liked everything except for Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe. That one can go to hell. I kind of want to burn it. Otherwise, the rest were pretty much great. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks, guys, for watching. I see there's 2 of you hanging out with me. Do you guys have any questions? What did you guys read this month? That'd be kind of fun. I don't even know if this thing is on. I don't know. I haven't done this in a really long time, so I don't know. I don't remember how any of this works. No? Screen share. No? Hold on, I'm going to check this out.
Alexa, play music for baking cookies.
Whoops, no, shut up. Yeah, I don't see anything. Oh, okay, there we are. There they are. Hi, Annie. Hi, Brock. I don't know, man. I don't know. Why? So I guess why do we always have such problems with female characters? I don't know. I just don't. I don't know, because I think right now all my female characters, I just want them to be badasses. I just want them to be like unforgiving. Just do whatever the hell they want, you know, and figure it out later. So I don't know, and like I just feel like that's not happening, especially with The Guns Above, where it's like she does those kind of out of character things. I'm just like, Gah! Not as badass, you know, as I wanted her to be. Because she's got some weird things going on, but I want to know what happens. But yeah, it's actually really funny because in Dark Run, where I was talking about the character who kind of has some shady background that's like dangled in front of you the entire time, that's a female character. Really annoying. Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe, female character, she sucks. Yeah, I don't know. That's just how it is. I just don't know. Otherwise, yeah. What's going on, guys? How's life? What have you guys been up to? I was supposed to go see Star Wars today, but I don't think that's happening anymore because the person I was supposed to go see it with hasn't even texted me back, which is really annoying. But I really want to see it. My roommate went and saw it last night, and he thought it was pretty good. And he's like a really big Star Wars fan, and he was saying it doesn't really feel like Star Wars, but it felt like The Force Awakens, where I'm a big fan of The Force Awakens, so I'm probably gonna really enjoy it. Because I'm not like that big of a Star Wars fan. Like I understand why people enjoy it. I'm more of a Stargate person, if I do say so. But I'm pretty excited to see it. So I'm probably going to see it in Seattle. Probably with someone, Shelby maybe. But yeah. Otherwise, yeah, just packing up. Wanted to do this live, quick, get it out there, talk about all the things I read. Oh, it's snowing where you're at? Oh, I'm so excited. I don't think it's snowing up in Seattle right now, but I am so excited to get there and for it to be like cold. That's like my one gripe with Florida, is that it's just like, even though it's like getting cold, and like this past weekend it was cold, like obviously Annie can attest to that because we were together, like it was cold and that was glorious. Like I loved that. So I'm excited to go back to Seattle and see kind of what's going on, because it was snowing earlier in the month, I think. So I don't know what's happening anymore right now. But I'm stoked. I'm so ready for like, you know, cold weather and Christmas. You can gladly have some of my cold. I will take it. Like even right now, I'm kind of sweating. Like we still have our air conditioning on. It's not like as cold, obviously, but it's still on. I'm tempted to open the window to kind of see if I can get some of the cold air in now that the sun's gone down. But I'm excited. Yeah, otherwise, if you guys have anything else for me, if you guys want to talk about anything. Otherwise, yeah, I think I will go ahead and kind of close this out. That way I can continue figuring out what I need to take with me tomorrow. I have like my suitcase half packed. So I gotta do that. But yeah, otherwise, thanks guys for tuning in. And I will talk to you guys next time. See you guys later. And yeah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope it's enjoyable and you eat tons of good food. And I'm sending you all the good vibes. All right. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.